dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
For the second day in a row, we've recorded the second highest daily total for COVID-19 cases in Kentucky. With 402 new cases today, we are now at a total of 17,919. 6 new deaths were also reported, so 608 Kentuckians have now died from COVID-19. One of those deaths is a 78-year-old woman from Perry County. Today was just the second time the state has surpassed 400 new cases in a single day. We came close yesterday, but the highest so far is May 5th when we had 625, but half of those came from mass testing at a state prison. Now, half the battle is getting people tested. The other half is figuring out how COVID-19 is spreading. That's what contact tracers are working on. Health officials in Southern Kentucky say cases are on the rise there, but they are hoping they can cut down on the spread. WYMT's Phil Pendleton shows us how contact tracing works.
I was just calling to check on you today and see how you're doing.
Jennifer Dixon's job is a big part of contact tracing.
And in fact, many of our new cases are contacts to previous cases.
Contagious disease means one person can start a domino effect.
And to get your temp.
Contact tracers try to find those dominoes before they fall.
And a contact is defined as at least 10 minutes within 6 feet of someone who is a case.
Of course, the wearing of masks has been a very divisive subject, but people here in Pulaski County at the health department tell me that even if you are wearing one of these when you had contact with a positive case, you're still expected to quarantine for 14 days.
Currently, we have the most active cases that.
But Dr. Wayman says that does not mean that wearing masks isn't effective to prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
I think it's been calculated to be about 60% less if both people are wearing masks.
Most of the contact tracing is done after finding out where people work, go to church, or who their families are.
Yes, most people are very understanding and willing to comply with the recommendations.
Health leaders say that in the Lake Cumberland area, their most cases have been in Pulaski, Adair, Taylor, and now Casey counties. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Lake Cumberland District health officials say they've been able to contact between 85 and 90% of the people who've been around a person with COVID-19.
Seeing those hot temperatures still throughout the mountains, and those aren't going to go away anytime soon. As we take you up to those temperatures across our area, most of us are into the upper 80s to lower 90s. 89 right now in Jackson, 90 in Moorhead. A little bit cooler though. Check out London, Williamsburg, Harlan, Middlesboro into the 70s. I'm sure it's not feeling like the 70s, but you guys are getting a slight cool down due to the storms moving through. Those dew points, upper 60s, lower 70s. You guys know what that means. It is sticky outside, uncomfortable, it's just miserable. Honestly, you don't want to go outside, and that's going to continue, especially heading into tomorrow. Still feeling like those low to mid 90s from Hazard to Jackson, Prestonsburg, Pikeville. Not feeling too bad though if you look down into the Cumberland Valley where they're getting a nice little break. Most of the showers though have moved out of there, but they are moving out of areas along I-75 now. Starting to see some heavier showers move into parts of Pulaski County and a little bit into Laurel County, but starting to move out of Laurel County. Still some showers along I-75 in parts of Whitley County. So those hot temperatures continue tomorrow. We are going to hang on to some scattered storms tomorrow as well, but by Friday, a cold front moves in, bringing us a little bit more soggy weather and also bringing us a slight cool down. I'll have details on that coming up.
Thank you, Paige. Pikeville Medical Center just received a grant for an emergency department expansion, and this expansion is for the kids. The grant from Kentucky Power will fund the emergency department's new pediatrics wing. Dr. John Fleming says this is a big deal for the hospital because it will allow more children to be treated on site in a comfortable space in an emergency situation.
So that they can be isolated from the emergency or from the adult population, make them a little less stressed, have more pediatric friendly rooms, pediatric themed rooms.
Dr. Fleming says this is a step forward for the entire region, making Pikeville Medical Center even more capable of providing for every patient. If you need to renew your license in Kentucky, the process is looking a bit different. What steps you need to take depend on a couple different things like expiration dates and where you live. And what about those real IDs that are a federal requirement? We have learned that process is seeing some big changes too. Victor Puente is clearing up some confusion about the renewal process.
There have been a lot of changes in recent years to Kentucky's driver's license systems. Now people trying to renew their license have another factor to consider, changes made because of the pandemic. Circuit court clerk's offices were closed because of COVID-19. So if your license expired between March 18th and July 6th, you get a 90-day extension. But if your license expired yesterday, you'll need a new one right away. Circuit court clerk's offices are opening back up, but you can also renew your license by mail. Another question to answer when renewing your license, do you want one of the real IDs? They'll be required in October of 2021 to meet the federal requirements for boarding an airplane and entering federal facilities. You may have to travel outside of your county for one of those.
You cannot get a real ID from your circuit court clerk. You need to go to a real ID office.
There are 8 regional licensing offices in Kentucky, but right now only 4 of them are open. They're in Lexington, Frankfort, Madisonville, and Moorhead. Appointments are made online. In Fayette County, where the clerk's office is no longer taking care of driver's licensing in person, the regional office is handling those duties. It's a model the rest of the state will eventually follow. They hope to have 24 regional offices across the Commonwealth.
The deadline will be June the 30th of 2022. All driver licensing will transition from circuit court clerks to the transportation cabinet, and we will have a network of regional offices around the state.
It's important to note that if you're getting service at one of the regional offices, you can use them no matter where you live. So if you live in Lexington, you could go to the one in Moorhead. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Now, if you need to renew your license by mail, you can find the form you need at drive.ky.gov. The Better Business Bureau is reporting Social Security scams in central and eastern Kentucky targeting senior citizens. They say they are told their numbers have been used in criminal activity and must call to keep their benefits from being suspended. The BBB reminds everyone to never give personal information to unsolicited callers. The Social Security Administration will never call you asking for your Social Security number. They will never ask you to pay anything, nor will they threaten your benefits. In Laurel County, 2 people are facing drug charges after a traffic stop. Joseph McNally and Deronda Newberry were arrested Tuesday night. London police say their car was stopped for not having a visible registration plate. Following a search of the vehicle, a hidden plastic baggie was discovered containing meth. Officers got a search warrant and checked the hotel the 2 were staying at and found more drugs and related items. McNally and Newberry are facing multiple charges, including drug possession. Right now, the Kentucky State Police are leading the way in the annual Best Looking Cruiser contest. They are just edging ahead of Georgia by less than 50 votes. The contest is held every year by the American Association of State Troopers. Voting continues until July 21st. Troopers still need your help to win, and we have a link to vote on WYMT.com. Just search for this story. The gear firefighters wear is only half of the weight they truly carry. The hoses and equipment are no match for the calls that stay with them long after the sirens are gone. WYMT's Buddy Forbes spoke to one Pikeville firefighter who is finding a creative way to shoulder that weight.
Being a firefighter is about a lot more than fighting fires. And for the last 11 years, Nicholas Potter wears the helmet and answers the call in Pikeville.
It can be a very rewarding job, but in the same time, there are days and moments where you're just wading through the muck and mire of human suffering, and you see terrible things. I saw terrible things.
As the number of fire calls decreases through the years, firefighters are often first on site for other emergency situations, which can carry with them a lot of weight.
I was diagnosed with PTSD in 2016 after a particularly bad call involving a child. It was a very traumatizing event, for all parties involved.
That same year, Potter and his wife lost a daughter. making that load even heavier.
I mean, you might never get over some things, but you can get through them.
To get through, Potter sought out medical and professional help. But he also started doing something for himself.
One of the outlets me and my wife talked about and made was this YouTube channel. It's called Macabre Overload.
Diving into the macabre.
We're on our way right now to the gravesite of Octavia Hatcher, who was presumably buried alive about 100 or
to
so
escape
years
from
ago.
the mire of his own head.
Yeah, it gives me a good outlet because it's something I'm interested in, you know, true crime and ghost stories and spooky stuff.
Finding the light in the darkness.
You know, for the longest time I was afraid of being considered weak for seeking help, but you have to seek help, and that is the first step in recovering.
And shining that light on the importance of mental health. In Pike County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Potter has released 2 videos, one about the legend of Pikeville's Octavia Hatcher and another about serial killer Donald Harvey. Those are available on his YouTube channel.
Scattered showers and thunderstorms continue heading into your Thursday and into your Friday, but when will that cooler air arrive? I'll have that answer coming up.
And U.S. Senate candidate Amy McGrath gives her first interview to WYMT after surviving a close primary.